Started yesterday, but you're going to start from the beginning of that paragraph. At AyinBase. Vehinay. Oy von Kozeh. In this manner, or in that state, as the oiros are within the Atzmus itself. Atzmus is ultimately the root of all oiros, and they are, so to speak, present within Atzmus. So as we explained, that presence is of a different quality or caliber of presence. It's a non-metziistic presence, and in the state of the oiros as they are in Atzmus, it's impossible that they should be drawn into worlds. Vehu, and the reason for that is that worlds, even the most superior, the finest world, pashut is not capable to accept an oil of that caliber of oil so refined, so pashut. So the Indian from Pshitus, this is a running topic for a long time. Yesterday we discussed it from the perspective of our light, that the light that was created the first day was not a light that world was able to cope with. Why not? Because that light negated the worldly quality of world. How can you have light without a luminary? This we discussed over the last period several times. What is the principle of oil pashut? You can't have a light without a luminary. What then is the meaning of this light? Because light, as it is interpreted in the world, is energy. Energy emanating from a source of energy, combustions or whatever it may be. So what is this light that does not have a source, does not come from through energy and combustion? So we describe it as oil pashut. Let us focus in on that a little bit. Since the principle of light that creates visibility is something which we can readily identify with, and we can also identify light coming from an energy source and so forth. So we will, to explain or to focus in, to help us focus in on the principle, we'll go to something much more mundane, much more tangible, such as a table. A table is a board with 4 legs. But what is the meaning of a table? Is it a board with 4 legs? What is the essential meaning of a table? There is what's called a pshitus element of a table. That it can be presented through all kinds of different forms. But ultimately, all these forms are attempting to represent the pshitus amavatayim. The pshitus amavatayim is a human spirit, human intellectual concept. Does not have a form, does not have any material in it. That element of the table, the pshitus element, this is the true aspect of table. This is the essence. This is as it comes from the source. Then, in order to facilitate its presence on the worldly level, the practical level, it goes into a body with four legs. This gives us a handle on understanding the word Oyr pashut. So the Oyr Shenivra B'Yom, the light that was created the first day, there was no luminaries, there was no source, an energy source. What was created? Light. The ability to see, to eliminate the darkness of the world. So if you're going to, you say in the physical world, how can you have light without a luminary? The physical world cannot produce light without energy source. But light is a godly principle. And that principle, God is able to create the principle itself without its container, its means of presentation. This is the Oyr Shenivra B'Yom. It was a light to contrast darkness, nothing else. Pure light.
It sounds like even higher than contrast with darkness if it's pure light. Like.
Okay. We pointed out a phenomenon that we experience. You look through a window and you see what's going on in the room. You see everything in the room. The furniture, the people, everything. There you're standing there and you're observing it as an outsider. You know all the details. You know it because there is, I said, there is the deflection of physical light that makes you able to see these objects. Then, if you step inside, you're not inside this room. When inside this room, you're also aware, and in a certain sense, you can say, I see all the things that's around in the room, but you're not seeing it physically. As a matter of fact, when you're inside, you can only see one side. You can't see all four walls. Out from outside, you can observe the entire expanse. But when you're inside the room that contains all of these things. You're aware not only of that which is in front of you, but of that which is behind you. That which is away from you, it's at the end of the room also. That is a completely different awareness. It's not through energy hitting the object? This is because it's not hidden, because it's there for you. It's concealed from you. If we can, there's much to speak about this, just for argument purposes, if we can refer to that awareness as Oyr, that would be a muscle for Oyr Shenivra B'Yemrish. I mentioned many times, the Gemara says, Adam Rishon was able to look using this light from one end of the world to the other end of the world. So we discussed, no matter how intense a light is, if it has a source, it will not go through a wall. So therefore, at the other side of the wall, you can't see. No matter how intense the light is. If you're able to see from one end of the world to another, it means that it's not a light emanating from someplace. It's a light present everywhere. Like I said in the Muslim, you're inside. You're aware of everything as an insider. This is called Oyr pashut. In other words, the pshitus of Oyr. What is the highest aspect of light? Is it the energy and the heat? What is the highest, the truest element of light? That it makes that it reveals everything that's around, that's in the environment. It makes it visible. Sight is the finest and the highest form of awareness, and light is that which brings the sight into focus.
Mm-hmm. In the case of the being in the room, and in the case of the ore that's created on the first day, it's not negating, world. In other words, he's being in the room. He's aware of world. He's aware of room. Or the ore that's created the first day, it doesn't say that there was no world. He said he could see from one end of the world to the other. It seems like he is aware of world, but here it's saying that the world can't take such an ore.
Right. If we should say that this is the mashal for Rosh Hashanah, so then it's not a stira to world. When we say that a mabit bay, is not being aware, but observing. Mabit means he observes. He actually sees what's going on there. That is complete elimination of the nature of world. When the world was created, it was dark. Why was it dark? Because world per se is dark. It's not visible. Physical object, physical presence, everything has its means of becoming a representation. Physical object is known to touch. It is not known to sight.
Oh, okay. But what you're just saying, it almost seems like sight itself is negating the nature of the world.
That's right. Except that when you have sight and you can explain it in worldly terms, and it's not negating. But sight really does elevate the world to a higher stage. And you say Chokhmah is a quality that is higher than world, essentially. Take a look what the world has done to sight. You could not accept sight the way it is. And had to explain it in all kinds of different physical ways, and to reduce it to touch.
So when we say ino yachal l'kabel or pashut kazeh, that means that the normal, the nature of the world, the natural order of the world
Cannot accept this.
Cannot accept.
Because it's the opposite of definition of world.
You'd have to have a transformed world.
That's right. Or you have to reduce that oil that it should come to you through worldly means.
If you want to keep the nature of the world.
Want to keep the nature of the world. We spoke about this, that even after that this light was concealed, was hidden, and then the luminaries were created, and the primary luminary was the sun. And the sun, the light of the sun, is a very is a godlike light, a light that eliminates darkness. That's why the light of the sun affects day rather than light. What's the difference between day and light? Light is when there's a focused light that enables you to see a certain object. Day means there is no darkness. Day was created the first day. That's that the ocean will be Rish. Subsequently, there's no day. It comes from a luminary. So Ban says that this ocean Rishing was concealed but not completely removed, and it is now presented through the sun. So the sun, in a certain qualified manner, produces a light, pure light. You cannot duplicate that light. This was called oil pashut, meaning the element of what oil stands for in a pshitas manner, without using kalim to produce it, just because of its own truth. This is the first principle that says that the manner in which these oils and atzmos, they could not come into the world directly, because world cannot accept this kind of oil pashut. That kind of negates worldly definition.
Why do we say that the or? Why do we say that that this or pashut has to negate world? In other words, what about the light makes it? Is because that the light is
because it's the opposite of world. It's the opposite of world. World means that there are objects, things that block the light and allow it to go through.
In other words, the world means that there's something other than the creator.
That's right.
Whereas this light is representing the creator himself. No?
To put it this way, that's absolutely correct. It says in the pasuk, why was it choshech? Was choshech created as an add-on to world? Or the pshitas of world is choshech?
Pshitas of world is choshech.
That's what world is?
That's what world is. As I said, how do you know a physical object? Not through sight. It does not tell you about itself by telling you, look at me. Just touch me, feel me. Not to look at me. We can speak about this for hours. I mean, we touched many times on this subject from many angles. I think in the last class we spoke about sight. That sight is relating to reality itself, not a translation of reality. That's why witnesses have to see the object, the occurrence. Okay, let's go to the third line on this oid, and then another thing. This is all to explain why the oiris could not be nimshim to the world the way they are in Atzmos, even though these are 10 spheres. Nonetheless, they could not be nimshim into the world the way they are in Atzmos. One is because they're pashut, and the other is she'im hoyanim shochim ho'as spheres agnuzas. K'moy she'heim boyanim shofshim lifnei hatzimtzum. That if the spheres agnuzas would be drawn into the world as they are within the oyanim shofshim lifnei hatzimtzum, then so that's before the tzimtzum. Hoyanim shochim kulam yachad. They would be coming all together. Therefore, he would not have a worldly presentation, because in the world you have to distinguish one oil from another. Kulam yachad is not presenting itself into the world. The world does not have the means to process multiple things at once as one. Because each thing is identified individually. Chesed is chesed and good is good. We spoke about the phenomenon of 3 dimensions and 6 dimensions. When you talk about 3 dimensions is the result in defining a process. You have one line, another line, another line. And they come in some kind of a sequence. And when it's all put together and structured in a certain way, it alludes to a real entity. When you talk about 6 dimensions, you cannot think of one without the other. You're thinking about the reality itself. No object is real by one dimension or another dimension. Therefore, all the inyonim that are contained in this structure come at once.
The dimension stuff is...
What?
The dimensions muscle is totally like hard to get a handle on. Any not even a abstract handle, not even... It's very
right,
hard.
Okay. So then it's a sphere, if they would come, what's special about Lifnei HaTzimtzum? We discussed many times. The principle of Lifnei HaTzimtzum is that there the oil is not presented as oil. It's presented the way it is perceived from the etzem. If perceived from the etzem, it's perceived to begin with from a reality perspective, not from a presentation perspective. And therefore, they will all come at the same time, at once. As this is the case of the concealed koiches that are contained in a nefesh, the koiches hane'elomim in the nefesh are drawn kulam b'yachad all together. There is no saying the nefesh is able, and so to speak, the nefesh in and of itself has the ability to see and to hear and to process the thought. It's all one reality of nefesh. Ukiyodua, as is known, the koiches hagluyim, that the revealed and processing koiches, the manner in which they are drawn from the nefesh is with an order and a graduality from a higher to a lower. Bigdima v'yichur, that which comes first and that comes after. Okay, this is an important Ayin, which we will spend a little time on. That first there is Hamshachas HaMoich. From the Koiches HaGluyim, the first statement of Hamshachas HaGluyim is Hamshachas HaMoich, bringing the Moich. Ve'ahakach Hamshachas HaMidas. And afterwards, comes the hamshacha of midas. Again, I said this is an important thing. Just to put it in a very, very simple terms, as a first step towards understanding this, there are three levels in Giluyim, in the Koiches HaGiluyim. Possibility, probability, and actuality. You can't have actuality without there first being probability. You can't have probability without there first being possibility. We understand there's three different levels, and there's much to talk about. Possibility does not speak of anything tangible, but it speaks of a certain truth, a certain reality. This is what enables to go to the next step and says, oh, maybe this is actually going to happen. Maybe I should pursue it. All right, I see that we are tired, so let's call it a day. Tonight is our chasana.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. So I cannot say that I plan not to come, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility that I'll make.